Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
So, welcome dear learners to the session of Managing Equality and Diversity. I am Dr. Supriya Jain, working as an Associate Professor at GLA University, Mathura. So, today we are going to begin with this series and we are going to start with our lecture 1. So, if you look at the topics, what all are we going to study in this particular session, let's have a look. So, very first we are going to start with the understanding of importance of interpersonal skills. Thereafter, we will be having a discussion on relations between management and organization behavior. What are the various disciplines that contributes to the OB field that we will have an understanding of. Thereafter, we will talk about certain challenges as well as the opportunities for OB. And finally, we will have our look on personal inventory assessments like workforce diversity, people skills, social media, positive work environment, customer service, networked organizations, employee well-being at work, as well as ethical behavior. So these are the contents which we are going to have an understanding in this session. Before we move to the session, let us know about the learning objectives. So after the completion of this session, you would be able to demonstrate the importance of interpersonal skills in the workplace, as well as you will be able to define the concept of organization behavior, what it is. Thereafter, you would be able to show the value to the OB of systematic study. You will be able to identify the major behavioral science disciplines that contributes to OB. It will also help you in identifying managers' challenges as well as opportunities in applying the OB concept. And finally, you will be able to have the understanding how to compare the 3 levels of analysis in this text OB model. So let's begin with the session and have a good understanding of the subject. Before we proceed further, let's have an understanding of the quote given by Darren Hardy. The organization will always mirror the behavior, habits, attitude, mindset, and peace of the leader. So basically with this, I'm trying to start with the understanding it is all in the organization. The way we are setting up the organization culture, the way we are defining its value system will reflect the behavior of the people, how they are going to behave, what are their habits, how is their attitude, what is the understanding of the things they are having, their mindset. Because it is very, very important from the organization's perspective that people in the organization should have the right attitude, should have the right behavior, should have the right mindset if we want to accomplish the organizational goal. If you talk about the perspective given by Bill Gates, he says that great organization demands a high level of commitment by the people involved. As we all know, for any organization's success, it is the people. So if the human resource of the organization is all set and if they are ready to deliver their 100%, then definitely the organization is going to get the success. So great organizations will always demand high level of commitment, and this comes with the organization understanding of their employees, their attitude, setting up the right culture and environment for providing them the best of them. Thereafter, in the words of Vince Lombardi, the achievements of an organization are the results of the combined effort of each individual. So every person in the organizations matter. It's not only the few people, every person who is working with the organization, whether at the lower level or at the higher level, we have to have a combined effect of all the individuals together to make an organization as a success. So it becomes very important for us to have the understanding how to make them aligned, how to bring them together, right? So that they would be able to work for the betterment of the organization and we would be able to get the success. So in this point of regards, we are going to have the understanding of the levels we are having in the organizations. Particularly in this chart, you will be able to see the organizations is categorized into three perspectives, right? So the very first, of course, is the individual, a person. We will be talking about them at an individual level. Then, of course, there will be a group of people, since an organization where we are working, and as an individual you won't be able to get the results, right? It is always a teamwork, it is always a group of work, group of people working together to achieve the ultimate goal of the objective, and finally it reaches out to organization. So in this regard, you will be able to understand what all things are we going to cover at individual level, at group level, as well as at the organization level. So the very first thing which we will be starting with, what is OB? So OB is the organization behavior, and it defines the behavior of people in the organization at individual as well as at the group level. So initially we will have our understanding how the individuals are behaving and how we would be able to set their right behavior in the organization. Thereafter, we will have our understanding on managing demographic and cultural diversity. If you look at the topic of this session, managing equality and diversity is very important in today's perspective, since the organizations have become very complex, right? And the era in which we are working, the globalizations has taken place, lot of people are working together, lot of different modes of work have approached, right? So it becomes important from the perspective of understanding how to manage this different set of people together in the organization. So we need to have the good understanding of their demographics and the different cultures they are coming from, so that we could be able to align them together, because as we have understood just now, that it is the team of the people who are going to help you to attain the organizational goal. Third, we will be talking about the people, right? We need to understand how people behave at the workplace, right? It is very important for us to know about the understanding of people at their work. Thereafter, we will be discussing about their attitude and behavior, how this attitude forms, right? A right set of attitude of an individual is important. The people, the organization for which you are working, do you have a right attitude towards it or not, right? So your attitude will define your actions. So your attitude and behavior is important. There we will get into the deep dive about the theories of motivation, because as an individual we always strive for more and more and more, right? So we are having, endless needs and wants. So every individual needs to be motivated in the right direction, so that we could be able to bring the best out of them. So there are different theories which are given, which could be used for the motivation of the employees. Then we will be talking about designing a motivating department, where we can set the right people who could understand the different needs and wants, because we have the diverse background, we have the different culture of people. So maybe the one thing which is motivating an individual might not motivate the others. So it becomes important for us to have a right set of people who could be able to understand how to motivate the employees. Then we would be handling the stress and emotions at the workplace. Okay, so to have a right, results in the organization, managing stress as well as emotions are of important. Then we will discuss about communication. This is regarding the group. Okay, so communication, definitely when a person comes on the topic of communication, we have to communicate with others. So this is the perspective which we are going to have at a group level, where we would be understanding how to have a better communication with the people, how to communicate with them correctly, managing the groups as well as the team, how to handle the conflicts as well as to negotiate amongst them. Right choice of decision making involves very important aspects. Leading people with organization. So leading people with organization refers to the leader who are managing the teams under them, right? So it is also being said, a right leader defines the right team. Okay, people don't leave the organization, they leave their bosses. Why it is being said so? Because if a right leader is there, this right leader will always help in motivating their employees in the right direction and bringing the right results. then in all organization we have powers as well as politics. So definitely we have to have a good understanding of how powers work and how politically people are involved into the aspects and how to overcome it. And finally, at the organizational level, we will be discussing in detail about the organizational culture, because it is the culture which defines the right set of behavior, the attitude, the mindset of an individual. So organization has to define a culture, has to create a culture rather I should say, where people would work according to its requirements. Okay, so these are the three different levels of organization behavior. I hope you had a good understanding what we are going to have to study at individual level, at group level, as well as at the organizational level. Now let us look at the understanding of OB. So why it is important, why it is needed to study about the organization behavior. So the very first point says it enhances your interpersonal skills. And interpersonal skills are basically to know better yourself, right? So interpersonal skills refers to the understanding of how to manage things, how to have a right set of attitude and behavior at the workplace. So your skills will particularly enhance if you are set to a right, environment, if you are set to a right culture. It will also help in boosting your organizational performance. Like I said it earlier as well, your behavior, your attitude defines your action. So whatever you would be behaving, whatever you would be doing will be based on the right behavior which is being set in the organizations. Your performance will definitely be improved, your efficiency and effectiveness will become better. It will also improve the employee satisfaction because it is not only dealing with the behavior, it is also dealing with motivating people, as well as it is also helping in overcoming the stress and conflicts, right? It is also helping you in managing the politics of the organization. It is there to counsel you as well as to negotiate between the employees, right? So it is going to overall help you in having the good satisfaction regarding your work. And finally, it provides the support of effective leadership. Right leader will help you in defining your career growth as well, because a right person who's leading the organization will brings the best amongst the employees. So these would be the benefits of organization, behavior, and that is why it becomes important for us to have a good understanding of this subject. Now, like I said, we will have an understanding of management and organization behavior. So management means managing the whole show, right? And as we all know, manager has the responsibility of managing it, right? The right set of person who is involved in taking care of management as well as setting the right behavior in the organization, it starts with the manager. Who is a manager? Definitely is a person who has to achieve the organizational goal, right? Definitely through others, right? So like we said, management is an art of getting things done by others. So manager is a one person who is handling the requirements of the organization, understanding the knowledge, understanding the skills of the people, right? Understanding their caliber, and accordingly he defines the task and make it done. If you talk about the organization, organization is what? It is a social unit, right? Where people are working together, right? And they are functioning on a relatively continuous basis for the attainment of a common goal, right? So controlling, monitoring activities also ensure that they are being accomplished as planned and correcting any significant deviation. So organization is a place which comprises of different people where they are working together and they are working for the betterment of the organization, for the attainment of the goal. And when people are working together, we have to understand how to control and monitor their activities so that whatever the work they are doing, they should be leading it in the right direction. Now, these are the functions of management. I hope you must be aware of these basic functions, because without this, management is not possible. It begins with the basic understanding of planning, which leads to organizing, leading, and controlling. So planning, as we know, is about future, what we are trying to do, right? or rather we should say it bridges the gap between our present and the future, right? It helps us in understanding what we are going to do in future. It defines a set of action, right? So planning is helping us in defining the goals, our strategies, as well as it is also helping in developing our plans. Thereafter, organizing means how to organize the work, right? It is like giving the blueprints to our plan, okay? How we are going to channelize a thing, how we are going to, arrange the requirements, like to whom the task needs to be given, whom we have to report, right? The, authority and delegation responsibilities needs to be taken care under this organizing function. Once we are done with it, then comes the leading function, where we start with the staffing, right? Where we have the right set of people who could be assigned those tasks, and then the role played by a leader to set them into the right direction. So leader here will help in supervising them, motivating them, communicating the right things at the right time, and as well as looking forward how they would be able to achieve their goals. And for sure, controlling is must to ensure that whatever the work we have assigned, whatever the things which we are, taking care of are being done correctly or not. Are we moving in the right direction or not? So controlling makes sure about the attainment of our objective, about the attainment of our goal. So if you look at the functions of these management, these both functions are very closely related to each other, okay? So what we generally say is that controlling is not possible without planning, because how are we going to control? There should be some standard, there should be some benchmark. So that standard and benchmark we defined under the heading planning, right? What exactly are we going to achieve? What are our objectives, right? What is our vision? What is our mission, right? So controlling helps us in ensuring that whatever we have defined initially, are we able to reach out to that? And definitely without controlling, planning is also not possible, right? So controlling gives us the, gap, okay, how we are going to plan out our things better in our next phase. So these are the very important functions of management which we have to take care of while setting the right behavior in the organization. Moving further, there are key theories given in the OB. Like I said, motivation is important for every individuals. If we want to bring the best out of them, we need to understand what is that for which they are going to work, right? So motivation is not at all easy, it is psychological, okay? So it is important for us to know about the understanding of an individual, what are their requirements, okay? What are the things which are going to motivate them? So in this regard, different theories are being given for understanding the behavior of an individual. So the very first theory is given by Abraham Maslow, which is also called as need hierarchy theory. So Maslow's hierarchy of need has different levels, okay? It is basically having this 5 level in a pyramid, if I want to show you. So the very first level of needs start with physiological needs, then we have the security need, then comes the social needs, thereafter we comes to the self-esteem need, and finally it reaches to self-actualization. So physiological needs are the very basic needs, right, which starts from here, physiological needs. These are the basic needs for, food, shelter and clothes, which we call as very, very basic. So people at this level, they generally get satisfied by getting good job, right, having good salary. So the level of motivation will be satisfied if they are at their physiological needs. So one more important thing we need to understand here, as per the Maslow, he says that a person will have this level of needs in the hierarchical order, right? So once a person is able to accomplish this physiological need, then only they will move to the security need, thereafter they have the social needs. Likewise, they will move up in the ladder, right? So they will not have 2 needs at a point of time. So to understand the motivation level of an individual, we need to identify at which level they would be, right? So if they are looking forward to have social need, then accordingly we have to provide them the culture and the environment. They could be able to satisfy their social needs. If they reach out to the self-esteem level, then we have to give them certain position and power to motivate them further. So likewise, these are the different level of needs which are being defined by which is given by McGeorge, that is the theory. As per McGeorge, people are categorized into two different categories. As per him, theory X not self-motivated people, right? So to work hard, how they are people are self-motivated people. We need not have to do much to motivate them because they are the people who have the clear understanding of their things. But as we all know, we have different set of people and we have group of people working together. So we have to identify how to motivate people in how much way we are going to define our things so that we could be able to motivate both theory X and theory Y people. And finally, then we have the third theory, which is given by Hertzberg, which is called as two-factor theory. So this theory is little in the contradiction with the Maslow's hierarchy of need, because as per him, he defines theories into two aspects. One is the hygiene factor and the other are the motivators. So as per Hertzberg, hygiene factors are not going to motivate the employees. They are must to have, right? Or rather he says that if these factors are not present in the organization, this will lead to dissatisfaction. So in this, he talks about the basic needs like physiological needs, like safety needs, as well as the social needs. So initial three levels given by the Maslow are being considered as a hygiene factor according to the Hertzberg, whereas the other two levels, self-actualization and self-esteem, are actually considered to be as a motivator, because these are the things which are going to further motivate the employees in the organization, like the challenging roles, like the better positions, better salary. So these are the aspects which are going to have the motivations among the employees if we really want them to bring the best out of them. So different theories are given, which we will be having a detailed understanding in the upcoming sessions as well, when we will be talking more in detail about the motivation. Then now coming to the managerial roles, right? So managerial roles are very important for the understanding of organization behavior in the organization. So this is given by Henry Mintzberg. According to Henry Mintzberg, managerial roles categorized into three different aspects. The very first is interpersonal role, then we have informational roles, and finally we have decisional roles. So as a manager has to perform different functions, he has to perform different roles in the organization at different requirement and different situations. So let us start with the interpersonal roles. If you remember, we have initially talked about enhancement of interpersonal roles if we have a good organization behavior in the organization. So figurehead is the very first role where this person is acting as a main person in the organization and dealing with the aspects of organizations like planning, like organizing, leading, controlling, and all such activities where this person is managing the organization and defining the policies and structure of the organization. A manager has to perform as a leader as well, because if you understand the difference between a manager and a leader, there is also a difference in it, okay? But a manager has a responsibility of only managing the show, whereas leader is not only having the understanding of reaching out to the objective, but also ensuring how my team will be growing, right? How to motivate people at the right point of time, right? How to bring the best out of them. So manager has to have to play a role of a good leader as well. At times the person has to do a listening, right? Listening refers to the outside people, how you are going to listening the things in a better way. So manager has to perform these interpersonal roles at different point of time. Then this person is also having this informational role where they are collecting the informations from the various platforms like social media it could be from the news channel, it could be from the magazines, newspapers. So they have to act as a monitor on these informations, okay, what are being getting about the organizations, about the industry. They have to pass on these information as a disseminator for the betterment of the organization, and they also act as a spokesperson from the organization's perspective. And if we talk about the decisional roles, The manager play a role of an entrepreneur, where they are setting the new ideas and creating innovative aspects in the organizations, having good results from the competitors. They are also acting as a disturbance handler. Disturbance handlers are required at some unexpected situations, right, where they have to understand how to overcome those situations. They also act as a resource allocator, how we are going to utilize our resources in an optimal manner. And sometimes the manager also act as a negotiator, right, how to have a good understanding of a thing and to bring the best of any problem. So these are the different roles which a manager has to play in the organization at different point of time and situations. Now, these are the management skills we are going to talk about required in the organization. We all know organization works at 3 levels. So, we generally call it as in lower level, middle level, as well as the top level. So, people working at different levels need to have different set of skills. So, we will start with the technical skills. Technical skills usually being required more at lower level for execution of the work, right. So, people who are working at the lower level, they need to be more technical in their work because of getting the better results in the assignments which are being given to them. If you talk about the interpersonal skills, they are mostly required at the middle level, because the middle level comprises of the managers, right. So, managers are the one who are going to make a balance between the top level and the middle level, where they are getting the policies from the top and they need to ensure how they are going to implement these policies at the lower level, how they are going to make people work, as the role of manager is to assign them work and getting them work done. So, it is important for the manager to have these interpersonal skills, where they should know about how to communicate with the people, how to motivate them correctly, how to be a good leader, how to bring the best out of them. So, interpersonal skills are mostly required at middle level. And if you talk about the conceptual skills, they are more needed at the top level, where we are going to define the organization plan, we are defining our policies, we are creating our structure, so that everything should be in alignment. So, these are the management skills which are required in organizations at different level. Depending upon the nature of work we are executing, these skills are must to have the better results. Now, very interesting thing we are going to have our discussion on, where we are going to understand the effective versus successful managerial activity. Successful managerial activity. So far, we have understood about the different managerial skills. We have talked about various aspects, the benefits of organization behavior, how to motivate the people, but now we are going to understand what exact role they are playing in the organization and how to be more successful and effective. So, the study done by the Fred Luthans along with his associates, right, and this study was basically be done on more than 450 managers, and they all were found engaged in 4 different, activities of management. Like traditional management is one of them, where the managers are involved in decision making, like planning, like controlling, all the management functions which we have discussed so far. Managers plays a role of a communicator, where they exchange their routine informations and they also process the paperwork. So, this is the another important activity which managers goes with. Then, as we all know, they are required to take care of the people in the organizations. They also take care of human resource management, where they are motivating the employees, disciplining them, how to handle the conflicts between them, how to have right set of people to train them. So, all such managerial, human resource management roles they play. And finally, the manager also have their networking, where they socialize, politicking, interacting with the outsiders to have the better understanding of the outside world and to make your reach to the outside world. So, these are the 4 activities which generally managers involved into. But if you talk about this study which has been done, here we have done this survey based on the time. So, very important thing you would be able to understand, there we are comparing three different set of manager where we are calling them as an average manager, successful manager as well as the effective manager. So if you look at the chart of this average manager, you will see an average manager spends 90% of their time in networking, 20% of their time in human resource management, 29% in communication and 32% in the traditional management. So this understanding will make you define that they are doing all the activities, but still they are being considered to be as an average managers because not all activity requires the same set of time, right? So you have to understand how you would be allocating your time in the right, direction, what is more important and what brings the best in the organization. So if we talk about the successful managers are more into the communication as compared to the, traditional set of managers, and here they are spending lot of their time in networking. So successful managers are those managers who are having good connections, who are having good networking with the outsiders, where they could be able to have lot of information and make out their reach to the outside world. And if you look at the effective managers are more into communication. They are spending most of their time into the communication. So according to this study which has been done, definitely these are the successful managers, but effective managers are those who are able to bring out the better results in the organization by being effective and communicating the right set of things with their people, where they are discussing each and everything with their people in the organization. They are communicating with them before enhancement of any policy, before enhancement of any, activity in the organization. They take the feedback, they bring people at the same platform, because by communicating right to the people will give you good results. They would be at same page, and they would be able to have the acceptance of their things with you correctly. So this study shows a very good results, and this will help you in having the understanding how you would be utilizing your time and what activity requires more efforts of a manager to make them more successful or to make them more effective. Now coming to the understanding of OB, by far you have understood that it is a field of study that investigates the impact individuals, groups or structure have on behavior within the organization, and for the purpose of applying such knowledge towards improving an organizational effectiveness. So the organization behavior, it is the study of people, it is the study of individuals, it is the study of people in group as well as the organization, how to bring them together, right, how to have their right behavior, and so as we could be able to increase the organizational effectiveness. If you look at the understanding of OB, these are the major topics which we are going to cover here with the study of organization behavior, that is the motivation, leaders' behavior as well as power, how they are utilizing it, interpersonal communication. Just now we have seen effective managers are those who have better communication with their people, right? So the more you would be communicating, the more you would be clear and transparent with your employees in the organization, the better results you would be able to produce. This will talk about the group structures and how should this structure process. This will discuss about the attitude development as well as the perception. So right set of attitude development and perception is important, because it is our perception which defines our behavior. Okay, so generally for perception it has been say that we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. So perception needs to be defined clearly, because your actions and behavior based on your attitude as well as on your perception. How this change process take place would be dealt under the concept of organization behavior. We would be talking more on the conflict as well as negotiation, and we also work on the work design, because the work needs to be designed in the manner where we could be able to get the best results of our people. So work design is very, very important for the organization as well as for the employees, because if the work is being designed in the correct manner, the results would be better. Now this is important for us to have the understanding of the different discipline, how they contribute to the organization behavior. As I have told you earlier as well, in this session we are going to talk about the disciplines which draw the help into the development of this organization behavior. The very first is coming from the psychology. Attitude of an individual, behavior of an individual, perception of an individual are all under the subject psychology. Okay. So as we all know, organization behavior has three levels: individual level, group level, as well as organization as a system. So here all these disciplines are contributing at different levels. The psychology talks at individual level, where we have these learning theories, how to make people learn the right set of culture and attitude, how to motivate them, what forms their personality, because whatever we are because of our personality, and personality is not is not comprises of one factor where we can make people learn. It includes various aspects like their biological factors as their family associations are there, social background is there. So there are a lot of factors which affects the personality of an individual, how people deals with their emotion, their perceptions, how we can provide them better training, how to make them more effective in their leadership. So all these aspects are being drawn from the psychology, where we deal with these aspects at individual level. Then the another discipline from which we are taking the help is called as social psychology. Social psychology is dealing more towards individual as well as group level. So here we are talking about the behavioral change, attitude change, communication between the people, how group progress and process, and how to make a better decision making in the group. Whereas if we talk about sociology, sociology is study of people in the society, right? How group of people deal socially. Okay. So in this we talk about communication, the power, conflict, intergroup behavior, as well as we have various theory like formal organizational theories, organizational technology, culture, as well as change. So all these sociology aspects we will be dealing and taking care of how to handle the groups better in the organization. And finally, the study of anthropology, which deals with the study of human behavior, right? And here we will be talking about the comparative values, comparative attitude, cross-cultural analysis, organizational cultural and organizational environmental power. So altogetherly, the subjects which we are dealing here are going to help the better understanding of people, where we are drawing the different concepts from all these disciplines to have a better understanding of people at individual level, at group level, as well as the organization level. So all these things will contribute to the study of organization behavior. Now, if you look at the contextual perspective of this subject, here we have comprises it into two aspects. One is external and the other one is internal. So, external, as we all know, we have lot of impact on economy as well as technology. So, in today's time, economical changes are taking place now and then, right? So, since we are working at globalized level, lot of economies are interacting with each other, and very important changes are taking place every day, right? So how we have to deal with all those economical changes taking place in the environment, that we have to incorporate, and the advancements of technology has put a lot of pressure on the organizations to have a right set of people, right? Because technological requirement has gained so importance in today's time, where we need to have to upgrade the things very quickly, right? And we have to understand how we would be having the right workforce in the organization to deal with the advancements in the technology. And of course, internal aspect comprises of the organizational culture and the leadership we are having in the organization. So if you talk about the success of any organization, it will be categorizing into two different aspects, external as well as internal. Where in external, we have to ensure about the economical as well as technological changes needs to be incorporated in time, and the right culture and leadership will help in defining the internal aspect. Now, moving to the further aspect of this session, we are going to have our discussion on challenges and opportunities of organization behavior. The typical employee is getting older, we all know. The workforce is becoming increasingly diverse, where we have different set of people. It is becoming competitive as we are working at the global level. Employees require more flexible, aspects and cope with rapid changes. So since these are the situations we are having in today's time, so in this regard we have to deal with the challenges we are having, and definitely there are certain opportunities also for the organization behavior. Before that, we have to have the understanding of employment options. So as we all know, in today's time organizations have changed a lot, the requirements have changed. So based on that, we have different categories on which we are going to have our discussion. Like there are different categories of employment in today's time. Like we have employed people who are already working. Underemployed and underutilized people are those who are not being assigned the tasks as per their capabilities, as per their knowledge, right? So they are that set of people also we are having. Then we have re-employed people who are not working and now again they are working. Unemployed people who are jobless. Entrepreneurs are one who take their own decisions, right? Retired people are there who take retirement after certain age. Then there are certain people who are also seeking some jobs, who are looking forward to have jobs, right? Furloughs are the people who are basically suspended for a time period, and because there is no such requirements as of now, and temporarily they are being suspended, but again they would be calling out for jobs. Whereas laid off people are people who have been permanently laid off from the organization, because maybe the requirement is no more. If you talk about the types of employment, then again we have different set of employments available in today's time. Full time organization people are working. This is generally ranging from 35 to 40 hours people are engaged in the week times. Part time people are people who are working lesser than 30 hours in an organization per week. Then we have a concept of flexi time, where people are coming as per their choices and the work requirement is there. Job share is something where two people are sharing the same responsibility of a job. Contingent is basically where people are taking the assignments on project basis. Then we have independent contractors who are doing their assignments on an independent basis. They are taking up the contract and executing them without any requirement of anybody. Then there are employments which are temporary, which are not permanent. For a time being they are doing it. Reduce hours concepts are there. And then we have interns who are having their practical exposure of work. Then we have different places of employments, like typical office space, which we generally call as cubicle. We also have these floating space in the organization, where office space is not very large, and generally it is being shared on the shared basis. Then in today's time we have virtual as well, where people are connected through Zoom or through online platforms. Flexible places are also there, where people can work from their home as well. Then there are conditions of employment which could be local also, which could be expatriate. Short term assignees could be assigned to the organization. Then we have flexi-partite. International business travelers are also there, where people are traveling on regular basis. Visa employees are also there in today's time, where people are having visas of certain countries and they are moving out to places now and then. And then union and non-union employees are also there. So these are the different conditions which are given in the organizations for the employment. And definitely the compensations could be different, like it could be on salary basis, which could be hourly, overtime. Bonuses are also given. Contractual employees are also there. There could be some time off to the employees, and certain benefits are being given. So we need to understand the employment options in today's time, and understanding these employment options will also help in understanding the challenges and the opportunities we are having in OB. So the very first challenge, if we talk about, is the economic pressure. Economic pressure, as we all know, in today's time economic changes are taking place, lot of competition is there, industry is growing, right? So economic pressures have created a lot of impact on having the right set of people in the organization so that we could be able to attain our objective. Then definitely continuing globalization is one of the major challenge, and with the technological advancement it has become more and more complex, which has increased the foreign assignments, where we are working with people from different culture, different mindset, different religions and society they are coming from. Then overseeing movement of jobs to countries with the low cost labor is also a very very major challenge, because in the countries which are under development or in a developing phase, where we are getting people at the lower cost, but making them work and in the right direction is very challenging. It's not at all easy. And then adapting to different culture and regulatory norms is one such area, where in which country you are dealing, you have to understand the different culture of that particular country and different norms are there. Okay, so legal aspects are also very very important. Certain legal issues are there which has to be taken care of. So moving to the another factor, that is workforce demographic. As we all know, workforce demographics are very very different. People from different age, people from different race, culture, background, religions are working together, and putting all together is not at all an easy task. We need to understand different people. They have different perception, they have different personality, they have different attitudes. So bringing them together is a very important task for a manager, and this is a major challenge where people generally get into conflicts, and lot of chaos could be created in the organization. So with the globalization, we need to also work on the workforce demographic. And as we all know, earlier women were not much into the organizations, right? And in present time, if we see, a lot of males and females are working together, where we have to make them at the same platform and bringing out the good results. Then there is workforce diversity, where people are having different culture, religions working together. So workforce diversity needs to be maintained, and equality needs to be given to the people so that we could be able to handle the diverse workforce working together. Some of the organizations are also very focused on the customer service, and as we all know, customer is the king. So it is important from the organization perspective to make the people understand about the customer services, so that the right set of culture can be created and built in the organization to provide the good services to the customer. People skills are very important. Any person who is working in the organization has to have right set of skills, where they could be able to handle their jobs better and could be able to bring out the best in them. In today's time, network organizations are required. Since you've seen, we have talked about the successful managers, where they have to spend lot of time in networking. So organizations who have a good network could be able to handle their problems and situations in a better manner. They could be able to have a wider reach to the problems and solutions they would be able to have better. Social media is again a challenge. It could be taken as both challenge as well as the opportunities, because employees spends lot of time wasting on social media. At the same time, we are also getting the benefit of social media. So some of the organizations have also keep it as a restriction that people are going to have the access of social media in their organizations or not, right? So depending upon what kind of content you are creating, what kind of involvement you would be having on social media will have a considerable impact in the organization. Then we also have to understand the employee well-being at the workplace. Organization OB has to deal with taking care of employees working in the organization. If a person is being taken care of at the workplace, then the person would be more satisfied, employee would be more happy, and happy employee and satisfied employee will have more into productivity. So organization behavior focus always remains on having the right workforce, keeping the balanced workforce at the workplace. It is important for the organization to build a positive work environment. because positive work environment will help you bringing out the best in employees. So positive work environment is one thing where organizations are working very, closely on it, and they are also ensuring that people who are working in the organization would be happy. So positive work environment is one of the most important point which is being included in the organization behavior. Then we have ethical behavior. Ethical behavior refers to the rights and wrong. Okay, it's not only the things which we are doing in the organization, but we also need to ensure that whatever the work we are taking care of should be ethical and should be in the right direction, should be in the better interest of the people working in the organization, for the customer, and at large at society. Now finally, we are moving to an important phase of our this session where we could have our understanding on developing an OB model. Organization behavior model comprises of three different aspects, which includes input, processes, and outcome. So as we have initially started with our session in the understanding of organization behavior at different level, that is individual level, group level, as well as organizational level. So here if we talk about the individual level, at individual level we would be talking about inputs like diversity, their personality, as well as the values which we are keeping in our employees. These are the things which we are going to keep from our end as an input, right? Group level, the inputs are organization structure, what roles they are playing, and what team responsibilities they would be having. And at the organizational level for group, we are having the structure as well as the right set of culture which is being created. So now the behavior which we are going to work on at individual is related to their emotion as well as their moods. How involved we are going to have our people in the organization. The motivation of the employees plays a very important role, how to motivate them correctly. Their perceptions of the things have a better understanding, and how do they make the decision. So process is something where we need to work on as a manager. Okay, so input is we are having diverse workforce, we have different personalities, we have different value systems which are working together as an individual. The process which we are going to have is to have the right set of emotions we would be building, their right mood, having motivating employees in the organization. Their perceptions need to be correct and their decision making needs to be right. And finally, if you look at the outcome at individual level, this will all define their attitude as well as their stress, right? So if people are being managed correctly with their emotions and mood, they would have right attitude and their stress level would be controlled. So if their motivation would be done correctly, then definitely their task performance would be there. They would be doing better things and they would be bringing better results. If the perception of a person changes, their citizenship behavior come forward. So it is very important for an employee to have a citizenship behavior, which is also being called as OCB, Organization Citizenship Behavior. So how much you feel associated with any organization. If you have the citizenship behavior in you, then your association with the organization would be defined, and if you are closely associated with the organization, then you would be working like a family. And then decision making is again important, to have the understanding of withdrawal behavior. Some people who are not being associated with the organization, their behavior at different places could be observed as the withdrawal behavior, like they would be reaching out to the meetings late, right? They will not get themselves involved much in the requirements of the organization aspects. So all these things will have a clear understanding. You would be able to see the outcome of the people, whether they are being associated or not. So organization behavior model is one model which helps you in understanding the people at individual level, at group level, as well as at the organizational level. So at group level, we have this communication. If a person in the organization group is able to communicate well with each other, how the leadership role has been played in the organization, powers and politics relationships needs to be defined very clearly, and definitely we have to work on conflicts and negotiations. So when group of people are working together, all such things handled by the managers required great understanding. And if you talk about the outcomes, the group cohesion as well as group functionings would be affected. How well people are being defined together, how closely they are being associated with each other. Because if a group is working together for the betterment of each other, definitely the organization would have better results. The functioning will become better. Okay, so maybe a person is very good at working at individual level, but this person is not good at working in a group. So we need to ensure that the group work in a cohesion matter, in a group functioning should be better. And then at last we would having this group level where the structure and the culture plays an important role, their communication is there, and overall the productivity and survival of organization will take place. So OB model, as I said, has three perspectives. One is input, the process as well as the outcome. Input is the personality and the culture which we are keeping in the organization. How we are keeping it as a communication as well as leadership is the process which needs to define the behavior, and outcome would be their performance as well as the satisfaction. How satisfied people are and how well they are performing in the organization. So, if we come at the summarization of this session, three important things you must be able to understand. The very first is organization behavior is vital for effective management and organization success. So, in today's time, if we are looking forward to have better organizations, if we want to produce effective results, then it is must to have right set of people, to have their right behavior, their right mindset and attitude with which we have begun. As we all know, this particular subject integrates multiple disciplines which we have discussed in detail, like sociology, like physiology, like anthropology. So all these subjects contributes a lot in the understanding of behavior of people at individual, group as well as organizational level. And we have also talked about the tools to face modern workplace challenges. In today's time, the organizations have become much complex, lot of challenges we are facing day and night, and how to make them work together, how to bring them together, right, to have this, overcome of diverse workforce which we are having. We have to ensure that organization behavior practices are being taken care of. Now, moving further, the references from which this session has been taken. So, I would like to name few of the authors like Stephen P. Robbins is one of them, Luthans is there, Greenberg, Max Shahane, and these are the references books from which this session has been taken up. I hope all of you have enjoyed the session. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to this piece of literary snippet. We usually know William Shakespeare as the most revered figure in the history of English literature. But we often tend to forget that he has also been one of the most hated figures in literature. And here I'm not talking only about those boys and girls who have to memorize long sections from Macbeth or King Lear or Julius Caesar before they can go and sit for their school or college exams. But I'm also talking about people who are themselves quite famous authors. Tolstoy, for instance, considered the writings of Shakespeare to be, and I quote, crude, immoral, vulgar, and senseless. George Bernard Shaw absolutely loathed Shakespeare, as he did Homer. But perhaps no other criticism about Shakespeare is more damaging than the one which says that Shakespeare is a marvelous storyteller, provided someone has told him the story earlier. Now, this piece of criticism is particularly damaging because it is true. None of Shakespeare's plays contain any original story whatsoever. They are all written using pre-existing materials, pre-existing stories. Now, does that diminish the stature of Shakespeare as a dramatist? Well, I'll leave that for you to decide. See you in the next episode of Literary Snippets.